Almost half past the hour, as we always say on this broadcast, when we see it, you see it. Just moments ago, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt spoke to reporters. Our first question that you're going to hear comes from our very own Weijia Jiang. She is asking about that federal Justice Department investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Let's listen to that exchange.
President Trump has mentioned on multiple occasions that the administration could probably bring a lawsuit against him. Did the president ever direct DOJ officials to open an investigation into Powell?
No.
And can you reassure the American public that his longstanding criticisms and public comments about Powell had nothing to do with the investigation?
Look, the president has every right to criticize the Fed chair. He has a First Amendment right, just like all of you do. And one thing for sure, the president's made it quite clear, is Jerome Powell is bad at his job. As for whether or not Jerome Powell is a criminal, that's an answer the Department of Justice is going to have to find out, and it looks like they intend to find that out.
Two more questions on the Fed for you. Senator Tillis is promising to hold up all Fed nominees until this legal matter with Jerome Powell is resolved. What does the president make of that?
I haven't spoken to the president about Senator Tillis' comments. I'll leave that to our legislative affairs shop to figure out, and I'll let the president speak on that himself.
So you heard the press secretary there answer that question by our Weijia Jiang about that Department of Justice investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell. We're also following reaction in Congress. This is, of course, as you probably deduce from hearing that exchange, about Powell's testimony last year before members of Congress about the Fed's building renovations. Some lawmakers are not buying what you just heard from the press secretary or what President Trump has had to say. Here's Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren.
People rely on the American economic system, and I'm saying this at a writ large, that it's a Fed that's independent, it's making decisions based on data. You may like them, you may not like them. I've often not liked them and disagreed on the data, but that it's making its decisions based on its best understanding of the data. The Fed has been the gold standard for that kind of monetary policy decision making. And Donald Trump is just burning that to the ground. And that's going to be costly for the United States.
She says Donald Trump is burning that to the ground. CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion live for us on Capitol Hill. Nikole, is Senator Warren alone in these claims? What are you hearing from members of Congress?
Well, not at all. I mean, we're hearing from both sides of the aisle on this issue. Of course, many Democrats see this as abuse of power on the part of the president and the administration and bullying, in the words of Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. But there are some Republicans who are pretty critical as well. You heard a question being asked of the press secretary regarding a statement from Tom Tillis, who basically said that he will not vote to confirm any new Fed nominee until this legal issue and matter is resolved, and expressed concerns about the independence of the Fed based on the Department of Justice's actions. And then just a short time ago, we heard from the chair of the House Financial Services Committee, French Hill, who also was critical of this move, as someone who knows the Fed chair pretty well, has worked with him in the past, and called this an unnecessary distraction.
We also know that you're chasing another huge story there on Capitol Hill that speaks to what so many Americans pay to have health insurance coverage. A lot of people going into the new year seeing the price jump, in some cases doubled. We're talking about the future of those Affordable Care Act subsidies. That 3-year extension, we know, passed the House, but what's the status in the Senate?
Yeah, well, we've already seen this playbook here in the Senate. In fact, a similar measure failed late last year. However, there is some optimism that the vote in the House, particularly because it was a bipartisan vote, can motivate and provide some momentum to ongoing bipartisan conversations both in the Senate and House. So there's a group of lawmakers that has been meeting and talking since last year on this issue that hopes to put forth a compromise plan as soon as tomorrow, but basically it might shorten the timetable for those subsidies, maybe a 2-year extension instead of 3, coupled with some reforms. But again, there are several more steps that this would have to go through for it to become reality in either chamber.
All right, Nikole Killion following that for us on Capitol Hill. Good to see you. Thank you so much.